What's up, YouTube? Welcome back. So, I want to come through and talk about the situation with, the black woman being married to one of the Proud Boys and, give my thoughts and opinions about that situation. And as well, I'll also share a video of the comedian Godfrey speaking about this situation and just, swirling and interracial dating in general. All right. But before we get into that video, I just want to say you may or may not notice my voice may sound a bit weird, a bit off, a bit different than usual. And that is because I recently had my wisdom teeth removed. And because of that, that has caused some swelling. So, because of the swelling involved, I can't quite enunciate the exact same as I did prior to. I mean, I think I can manage, of course, But long story short, if you're picking up on something that sounds a bit weird or a bit off with my voice, that is what you're picking up on. And that's also why I am not on camera for this video. Because again, the swelling. So, with that out the way, let's get into this video of what the comedian Godfrey has to say. Here we go.
You see this dude right here? This is one of the Proud Boys. All those Neanderthals that attacked the Capitol. Remember that?
As we've been saying all day.
Yeah. Well, I want to show you his wife.
You say opposites attract. We were very different.
This is his wife, his black wife. All right, that's his black wife. See that? And they were on one of those judge shows.
I didn't want to be married anymore.
See?
I'd rather we stay friends.
All right. That's his black wife. Okay. Whether they're together or not or whatever, his black wife. And that's why whenever we talk about interracial relationships, everybody gets super sensitive, right? Because, they always say, you ever hear that saying, love transcends color. Love transcends color. First of all, we need to get rid of the word transcend. You know how high you got to be to transcend some shit? You know what the level of transcendental shit is? Okay, and black people, you know me, I'm a comedian, so I'm going to throw in some comedy. We are the highest jumping on the planet, and yet we can't seem to jump over the hurdle of racism. Right? Right. So, nobody ever wants to talk about the other side of interracial dating or marriage. No one talks about that other side. Because I can guarantee you there was a lot of polarization going on when this Trump was going on. Huh? Love transcends color. Yeah. I mean, don't get me wrong. There is nothing wrong with loving who you want to love. I have to throw that in before you guys try to pretend like you don't know what the fuck I'm talking about. But nobody talks about the other side. The fetishy side. There's that side where somebody doesn't respect you for who you are. They just want you for fetishy reasons. And that's not just black women or black people. That's Asians. That's Latino. Nobody ever talks about that. Nobody ever talks about the non-transcending. Okay? Because I grew up in Chicago. In Chicago, where I knew white dudes that had black girlfriends would call you in a heartbeat. Yeah. Or they call you a chick and got a Asian girlfriend, call you a chick and got a Latino girlfriend, or vice versa. This is real shit. So this is an example. This dude with his black wife going to the Capitol. So what did he say? Okay, I'm going to do some racist shit. You sit there and you be pretty. I'm coming back to satisfy my fetish. So we have to talk about that side. Because if love transcended color, right? Then we would have been equal by now because we've been each other for a long time, everybody. Everybody's been out of each other. And yet racism hasn't moved a inch. I'm just saying. So where's this transcending coming from? And let's be real. A lot of us date outside of our race. A lot of us, there is a population of people that date outside of race because of self-hatred. Self-hatred, angry at your people. You got black women mad at black men and say, fuck black man, I'm gonna get a white dude. That's the truth. And you got black men that say, fuck these black women, I'm gonna get me a white girl. Watch. Huckleberry Finn. Yeah, you got that. You got people who have other agendas for going to another race. That's real shit. So I would like to just express that to everybody, and that this boy right here is an example of a lot of that are like that. I didn't say everyone was like that, but a lot of you are like that. I believe, to me, that the percentage of people that actually love each other that are from another race, very, very small. That's just how I feel, because I live in this skin and I see how people act towards us. So, listen. So, I don't think we're ever going to be able to each other to get rid of racism. Just personally, I just don't think it's going to happen. I think it's just going to be changing our minds, right? And being respectful to us. It's going to be a mental thing that's going to have to change, not somebody. Okay? Thank you, guys. Bye.
All right, so y'all saw the video, and I'll say that I do agree with a lot of what Godfrey has to say in the video, and I believe those points have been brought up many a time before. And it's true, like, if it were just a matter of loving the racism away or effing the racism away, it would be gone by now, but it's a bit more to it than that. And I think really, as I mentioned in previous videos, I really think that's like a lazy way of fighting racism. And that's the way that many black men like to fight racism, by loving the racism away or effing the racism away. It just doesn't really work like that. All right. It's not going to be that easy. And I'll say also that I'm glad that Godfrey did not attack the black woman. He more so actually concentrated on the white man that she is with and just kind of like swirling in general. So I'll give Godfrey kudos for that, because oftentimes it's so easy to attack black women. Even though I'm not necessarily saying that this woman doesn't deserve any sort of heat per se, or, doesn't deserve to be addressed. Because I do think if someone were to address her, it wouldn't be completely out of left field. I'll say that. But sometimes I think some people end up going overboard with it, especially when it comes to black women, right? Going overboard with it. So yeah, I'm happy that he didn't go that route. All right. And he mentioned like no one talks about fetishization. And I think that there's truth in that as well. I think when it comes to black women and non-black men, you're more likely to hear that come up than when it comes to black men and non-black women, right? And I think that's partially just because of kind of like the dynamics between men and women. But also, I think a lot of people don't want to bring up the fetishization, say, when it comes to black men, because like usually it ends up being a black woman bringing it up, and then she can be seen as a hater. Oh, she just jealous. She just bitter. She just mad that she wasn't chosen, even though she could be speaking on some very valid points, right? But when people bring up the fetishization of black women, which a lot of people like to throw that out there, like, oh, it's, when non-black men are interested in black women, especially white men, it typically revolves around a fetish. People definitely like to throw that out there. Not so much because, oh, we're just so concerned about black women's safety. I just don't buy that. By and large, I'm sure there's a few people involved who are concerned about black women's safety who mention that, but usually throw that out there to kind of like knock black women and be like, oh, he's only with you because of the fetish, right? Like outside of the fetish, he doesn't really like you or value you. He's not really interested in you outside of fulfilling a fetish, right? And people throw that out there to, knock black women and their desirability beyond the community, beyond black men. But I agree, people do not talk about fetishization, and the dangers that can kind of come with that as much. But on the flip side, though, I feel like some people like to be fetishized. I think that some black people, especially black men, like being fetishized. That is their business. Whoever likes to be fetishized, ultimately that is their business. But I'm just saying, some people like the fetishization. It makes them feel valuable. It makes them feel desired, wanted. And it's, somewhat of even like a boost of self-esteem for some folks. And Godfrey, I think that he has like low-key a fetish for white women. And again, that's his business. He's entitled to like what he wants to like. I'm not saying that he doesn't deal with the sisters, but I'm just saying, low-key, I think he has a fetish for white women. So maybe he may be speaking from a place of experience himself. And maybe he himself may like to be fetishized while fetishizing white women. Also, in terms of like the black woman with the white man who's a proud boy, maybe racist white men are a turn on for that sister. I mean, I know that's a bit weird to hear, especially a black woman, but maybe it's a turn on for her. Maybe the dude ain't racist. Maybe she doesn't care if he's a racist, white supremacist, or whatever. This would be an example of like white men talking white and sleeping black and having biracial children, which historically is nothing new, but in recent time, it is sort of new. But I'll say though, if something goes down, y'all already know that black woman on her own. I mean, black women already don't get no protection, even when they are in the right and with black men and doing everything right. So she ain't gonna be getting no protection. Do black men even have protection to offer? I'm just saying. Just recently, we saw that black sister in LA walking through that protest or riot or whatever folks are calling it, and she was attacked, right? And there were two black men there too, and they did not step in and help her, right? Notice how the community ain't talking about that. Notice how black is staying quiet on that part of it, right? Just like when those social media chat room videos leaked of Doja Cat with those white men who people claim to be white supremacists or whatever. I think there were at least one or two black men involved in that chat as well. Again, no one really called that out, right? Why is that? Why aren't we also talking about that, right? And ultimately, I just feel like when it comes to black women, it's like all eyes on black women when it comes to who and what black women support. For some reason, folks are really concerned and super critical about what black women support. And not to say that what black women support is not important, because it is. It really is. It really does play a part in a lot of things. But as does what black men support too. Right? And what just people support in general, right? But I notice that more weight is put on what black women support and do not support. That's why when like black women start talking about, quote unquote divesting or even just not supporting certain things or certain actors or entertainers even, like, oh, I'm not going to support that entertainer no more. He don't like black women. And then it's like, oh, you get a whole slew of people coming through talking about, oh, that shouldn't matter. He just doing his job. It's not his fault. Why are you being so petty, so jealous, so bitter, right? Folks are really concerned about that. Black men especially, but also some black women are concerned about that too. Like, you gotta support that black king now. I don't care if he ain't gonna offer you a wedding ring. I don't care if he gonna offer Becky, Selena, and Kim Woo a wedding ring too, way before he offer one to you. So what? Support that black king. Support that black king in everything he do, even if he with a non-black queen. So what? We gotta support our black kings and breathe life to them so that they can go off and give a better life to Becky and Selena and Kim Woo, and not have you come through. If loving my black king is wrong, then I don't want to be right. If loving my black king means I'm a big mammy moo, then guess what? I'm just a big mammy moo. And of course, as well, we recently saw this with like the recent presidential election, right? When all of a sudden, like, black men, and not, I won't say like the majority of black men, but a segment of black men, particularly in the entertainment industry, coming out and endorsing Donald Trump for presidency. Notice how folks weren't so quick to go on the cancel route, to go on the cancel brigade against, say, a 50 Cent or a Lil Wayne or what have you. Notice that. But when Chrisette Michele performed at his inauguration back in 2016, folks was like, cancel her, she's rude, she don't love no black king. There was no conceptualization, putting things into context, making up an excuse for her. But when it came to the black men coming out and endorsing Trump in 2020, it was like excuses that were being scraped together for black men. It was like, well, we don't always have to vote Democrat. And which is true, and ultimately we do have a right to support the presidential candidates we want to support. Ultimately we do. But if these were black women coming out and making these same endorsements, black women, they would get dragged and they would have to answer for that. But for some reason, when it comes to the black men, cooning out or what have you, it's like, it's an excuse. It's always an excuse. And I can't do anything with excuses. I can't take these excuses to the bank and cash them. I can't take these excuses and build a house. I can't take these excuses and pay my bills. I cannot take these excuses and register to attend a institute of higher education. I can't do anything with excuses. As well as the black community can't do anything with these excuses. Stop with the excuses. Sorry about that. I did go on a bit of a rant there, but the excuses though. And I think ultimately it just boils down to that for some reason, one way or another, I don't know where this comes from. I'm not sure. Maybe this is like a throwback to slavery or something. But I think we as a black community have been conditioned to hold black women to a high standard, which isn't necessarily a bad thing in itself. Right? It's not a bad thing in itself to hold someone to high standards. Right? But the thing is, when it comes to black men, if you hold black men to high standards, you'll get pushback from black men and black women will push back on that. And the pushback seems to be like, almost as if either you don't deserve the high standards that a black man can offer, or either you're asking too much. Right? And I think the community, especially black women in the community, have been conditioned to just meet black men where they're at. Help him build, hustle with him, grind together, the non-sexual grinding, be a ride or die, ride for your king, die for your king, right? And I don't think we really, quote unquote, meet black women where they're at. So it's an argument for that to an extent, but when it comes to community and expectations of black women, I think that we're less likely to meet black women, quote unquote, where they are at, right? And I know this video kind of went on a bit of a detour a little bit, but ultimately, circling back to the main topic though, when it comes to black women in interracial relationships, I do think that they do have to vet men, non-black men, and really just men, period, black and non-black, have to vet them. And I think that black women who do swirl tend to vet the non-black men, but the black women who do not swirl, I don't know if they're so quick to vet black men, and they end up in bad situations with black men, and somehow, some way try to save face and be like, oh, well, marriage ain't everything. Oh, well, he don't have to pay $1,000 in child support. He can't afford that. Oh, well, black women gotta choose better. It ain't black men fault. Oh, well. And I do believe that black women do have to do a better job of choosing better, particularly when it comes to black men. I do believe that. But black men also have to be better, at least if they want to be chosen. Like, if this were to really go into effect and black women were to really choose better, then there will be a good segment of black men who would not be chosen by black women because they would be, quote unquote, choosing better. So, yes, black women have to choose better, but black men also have to be better. So it's like a two-way street there. You know, you can't just tell black women to be race loyal and to only consider black men as their option, but not really give them a lot of quality options to choose from within that. But I'm going to bring this video to a close. Thank you very much for watching. Please let me know what you think about all this in the comments section. Until the next video, adios and goodbye for now.